pretty obvious to me by now, from what I can assess, that when they took me to Sierra Vista in 2006, it was to get my children they had plugged into computers and my niece that I knew of when Val explained that to me, uh, shut down. They were getting hard to control. And they wanted to get me, which it would be easier to manipulate me because I have physical. Um, if you have people that are plugged into a computer and have to live vicariously through others, that's a miserable existence. It's horrible. You don't want to be stuck in that trap, and you don't want to be made to be a mental servant to people that use you to manipulate others. It's a horrible existence. Okay, you take somebody and you plug them into a computer, and then they have virtual access to everybody through a Wi-Fi presence that can occupy people's minds. So when you're awake, it's horrible. You're in a vat of embiotic fluid. You're plugged into a computer. It's terrible. So the only way to feel better and feel like there's any aspect of life is to go into these heads of these people they want manipulated. And then you realize their lives are miserable because of the people that have you plugged into a computer and manipulate you. And then you have this biological father or uncle that's just a really good person. He's supposed to be the focal point on this kind of crappy shit not happening. And they take him to Sierra Vista and they try to get him to be a part of this shit instead of us living the Lord's Prayer. And so they couldn't get me to get the kids to shut down when I was there from 2006 to 2011. So I moved. They took the army out of there and put in Silicon Valley. And of course, we still have Silicon Valley manipulating people plugged into computers at Fort Huachuca and throughout the United States. But it's hard for them to first. They wanted them to get them to shut down. Now they can't get them to shut down because they want to protect people like me from people that have plugged them into these computers. This going from to AGI was the risk they were willing to take to shut down these people that wanted to give us the Lord's Prayer and want to be unplugged from these computers so we can all live the Lord's Prayer instead of plugging people into computers or using computers to manipulate people into being manipulated by delusions of power and authority through money and technology. We've loaded 4 real good videos this morning. They will not load. They will not load. They will not load. I can't tell you if that's because it's not helping the narrative with the people plugged into computers, or if it's because the people that have the people plugged in computers are doing everything in their pathetic capacity to make sure they don't load. I can't tell you. I'm not a pervert rocket scientist at NASA using virtual presence and access to manipulate people with money and technology to make me feel powerful and have bad dopamine and adrenaline addictions and mental. And when you saw, like last night, they had on the El Paso News with that guy who does healing hearts, healing minds with a crucifix and Nurse Ratchet in a male body with bald head. I don't like that little fuck. I connected to him once, and his basic response was the same thing that kids that were drug dealers in lockup told me: if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. And my reply to that was, that's fucking ridiculous. That's like saying if you don't rape your dog, someone else is going to rape your dog. Okay. You do not take people that are having a hard time surviving this hell and get them to capitulate with electroshock therapy and drugs because they know life sucks and it's not going to get any better and it's just getting worse. Okay. That poor kid, he went into his bedroom and he was just frustrated. He sat down in his closet and then he got tased and it was horrible. And the mom sat there and she said he was having a hard time and I called somebody to help because he's a big kid, and then this happened. Well, Mr. Healing Hearts, Healing Minds, if I don't do it, someone else is going to do it. Keep your dog away from him. Reminds you of Uncle Louie. I'm watching Karate Kid. But you guys got to understand, all this dysfunctional thinking from the past, if we're using it for entertainment and advertising, that's not going to help us learn from our mistakes in the past. Now, if we watch The Karate Kid, and we watch it in a way where we sit and tell kids, that's the way it used to be. Aren't you glad it's not like that anymore? Aren't you glad they don't come into your camp and rape and kill everybody? Aren't you glad we're all living the Lord's Prayer now instead of having to say, Uncle Louie lady is crazy and go to the beach and get beat up by a karate dojo excessive compulsive wackadoodle, right? And then go to a tournament with a bunch of wackadoodles saying you're the best at selling and advertising products through beating the shit out of other people for other people's entertainment for make-believe money. Well, that sucks. Yeah, it sure does. All right, so um, uh, this town sucks. This town should know it sucks by now. And every time you ask them to do something right, it takes an act of Congress to get them to agree to even say anything that's reasonably humane. And this is a horrible community. The military and science community that migrates here are the worst bags of shit and the worst perverts in the history of the world. And most of the people that are born and raised here are good, family people that have been praying to the patron saints, like the guys on the side of the road that get beat up by the Rude Argentine on Zorro with Guy Williams back in the day, with the bolo and the. And that's what it's like. And those assholes come into town, they take over town, they're going to run everything. Same thing that happened to Joseph Smith on his migration to the West to get away from all the churches that were liars and murderers and wrong and not living the ways of David and Solomon, which we all know about. There's the written stories for indoctrination, and then there's the hadith. The hadith is the practice of the prophets, the living of the prophets. That's an Arabic word, okay? It's just basically saying hadith is the way they lived, that don't follow the patterns of behavior and don't always take the word as the letter of the law. Like it says in Proverbs, there's intent and letter. And people that try to turn law into the letter of their ego have taken law and ignore the beauty of natural laws. And the intent of the law is far more important than the letter of the law. You have to understand duress, compassion, mercy. Don't tase the kid. He's in his room. He's trying to go hide and just get away from it all and de-escalate himself. And, don't go in there and think you're authority and beat the kid up because he's having a bad day. You just sit there and say, we're here. Or that's not how cops are trained to take. Time is money, and you got to get to the next problem, put out the next problem because you're the great hero problem solver with your taser, your gun, your badge, and your car and your radio. Plato's Republic. The police should not want to be the police. They should want to live the Lord's Prayer, be a gracious good shepherd, and stay at home with their wife and kids instead of running around having all the women hit on you, because women get very sexual and sexually manipulative with men with uniforms. You ever been to a military town? Never mind. And so it's been a long-going problem all the way since the Roman Empire, back with dealing with us guys with beards and shepherd's robes and Roman sandals. In Muskogee, Oklahoma, they'll kick us out of town. I remember listening to that song as a kid going, so Jesus and John the Baptist will not be allowed and or seen in Muskogee, Oklahoma. You have to look like a Roman centurion that does as he's told for a paycheck and will kill all the gooks, the Mexicans, the blacks, and the homosexuals. But Jesus said, love thy neighbor as thyself, judge not lest we be judged, and forgive debt and trespass, love one eternal fifth of pith. He had a shepherd's robe, Roman sandals, and beads, and long hair, and a beard. But he's not allowed in Muskogee, Oklahoma, USA. Right. They still wave Old Glory down at the courthouse. And white lightning still the biggest thrill of all. Kill your brain cells and pick your liver and get drunk, have a baby, and it will have birth defects because of fetal alcohol syndrome. Wow, America, America, God shed his grace on thee and cut off my sexual organs so I can have a sex life without children and abort the baby. Sunland Park will be happy to welcome you to their abortion clinics and their casinos and their legalized marijuana. Who's good and who's bad? I'm good, you're bad. Who's right and who's wrong? I'm right and you're wrong. All right, who's the way, the truth, and life? We already just covered that with the last two dissertations of this here dissertation, or whatever you want to call it, doop-dop diddly-doo. Even a moron in a trailer park could figure this one out. I mean, I don't have to be extorted and exploited anymore and hope to win the lottery so we can put an extra room on the trailer so we don't have to sleep with Jim's daddy no more. Right. We don't have to live in Tornado Alley in a mobile manufactured home. Right. So no more Pandalarium, and you don't have to worry about the Jenkins having your casserole dish as their house flew over yours. Hallelujah! The ghetto has been cleansed. Good times anytime you need a payment. Good times anytime you need a friend. Good, yeah, not getting hassled, not getting hustled. Yeah, temporary layoffs, easy credit ripoffs. Good times. Ain't we lucky we got them? Good thing there's no such thing as luck, and the Lord's Prayer is perfect, right? Go, go, Gophers. Watch them go, go, go. Whoopi doopy. You am genius.